Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Same Old Arsenal podcast. Coming straight to you 24 hours after that fantastic result yesterday at Emirates Stadium. Arsenal, not one, not two, not three, not four, 5-1 against Manchester City. Who would have thought we'd be saying that at the start of this season? What a result. Probably one of my favourite games being at Arsenal. I don't say that lightly. I've been to some really good games, but that yesterday, just everything about that second half was electric. And I am delighted to be talking it through with my fantastic co-hosts this evening. First of all, Suburban Gooner Chris, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm good, although I will admit to something. When Kai Havertz scored his fourth goal, I was in the blooming toilet.
Of course you were, mate. Of course you were. You've got to lay off the drink, Chris. That's what it'll be.
You know what? I didn't drink a touch of booze as well.
Of course he didn't. Of course he didn't. And fresh from BBC Radio 5 Live, Amanda, how are you doing?
I'm really good. 5 good reasons I'm really good. Actually, there's
5 good reasons, more. 5 live. Cool.
Oh, yeah.
Number 5 seems to be lucky for you at the minute, Amanda. Lovely stuff. So, Amanda, I'll stay with you. It was a big game yesterday. Very, very big game. What were your feelings going into it? Were you still thinking, if we win this, we're in the title race? Because obviously Liverpool on Saturday had that win at Bournemouth, which I think we were all having our fingers and toes crossed. They were going to drop points in, but they just made it look like a pretty routine victory there. So the onus was on us to respond, and boy, did we do it.
We did. I was pleased that obviously we were playing City at a time where they're not that like they were last season. And I was calm. We all sort of predicted. I predicted 2-1. So I was sort of confident. And I wasn't majorly gassed for the game until, as you've mentioned, I went on the radio in the morning. I woke up in the morning and obviously match day, you knew it was going to be a really good sunny day. We were all up for it. We'd just beaten Wolves, we were buzzing. And then I went on the radio with this City fan and he was as cocky as AF and he got my back up. And I was like, and as soon as I got off the interview, which if anyone wants to listen, it is on our YouTube channel, I was buzzing for it. It just completely changed me. Then I couldn't wait. I couldn't wait to get to the Emirates. And it was good fun because we actually went to the pub, to the Coronet, and we bumped into a few people that listen to the podcast. This one being one of them. Hi, Simon. Good to see you yesterday. And everyone was up for it, wasn't it? A beautiful sunny day at the Emirates. And I was gassed for it. I think that's what you youngsters say. I was right up for it. And I was confident as soon as I knew what the team was going to be. I was confident. As long as Partey was in midfield, I was confident. Do you want me to go into any more or do you want to go to Chris? Totally up to you.
Well, I think if we go with any more, Amanda, we'll be here all day. So I'm gonna segue the conversation into Chris and talk to me, Chris, about the team lineup, because I think it was pretty much what we were all anticipating, barring maybe the exclusion of Ethan Nwaneri, who was on the bench, Trossard, Martinelli on the wings. How were you feeling about it?
I actually thought that was fine. My view is that I think this is probably how Arteta sees his best team. We all know that Nwaneri is in a fabulous vein of form at the moment. He scored his goal, took it absolutely perfectly against Girona. 7 goals this season. He's only had 7 starts, which is pretty impressive. So I was quite happy with that. It's basically the best team that we've got. And what I'd also say is that I think young players can have up and down games. So I still think Arteta's right to urge some caution in his team lineup. But I also think that Trossard and Martinelli have started to pick up form as well. We'll probably get into that. But I don't know if you feel the same, James. But Trossard, I thought was brilliant yesterday. Martinelli was, they're all brilliant. But in the last few weeks, we've started to see Martinelli be in the goals. Trossard has suddenly picked up his form. We haven't had that Dubai break yet, but it does feel like for a few of those attackers, they're starting to pick up, which is just as well, given that it looks like at this stage of us recording, that's going to be our first choice front three for the next few months.
Yeah, that's the worry, isn't it? And we'll go on to talk about what could happen or what won't happen in the transfer window, because of course there is still a few hours to go at the time of recording this, but I think we we all know what way it's going to pan out. But it's good to see the attack looking that bit more fluid, a bit more dynamic. Because Amanda, it wasn't that long ago, was it, that we were looking at this team thinking, where the hell are the goals going to come from? But we scored 5 pretty unique goals yesterday.
Oh, it was just, they were fabulous. I mean, I was trying to think which one was my favourite goal. And I mean, took the pressure off, doesn't it, that Ødegaard scores within 2 minutes. We came out on fire, which is exactly what we wanted. It was just electrifying. I just loved the whole game. There were parts of the game where I was getting a bit pissed off that we were sitting back and slowing it right down. I was arguing with Carl about this because I was thinking we're 1-0 up. We're not just sitting on 1-0. But I'm sure we'll get into the intricacies of the game. But yeah, I was happy with the lineup. It was the best lineup we had. And I'm glad Nwaneri was on the bench because, I was talking to the guy that sits next to me and we were saying about 60, 65 minutes, he'll bring him on. And yeah, it's great. Absolutely great.
It certainly was. And it, like you say, started with that brilliant goal from Martin Ødegaard. And what I thought we did really well yesterday, Chris, was although our play, with the ball was fantastic, but our pressing was probably the best I've seen it all season. I thought it was, to a man, really, really good. And it starts with Trossard winning the ball, brilliant pass from Declan Rice. So I think we're all starting to agree he is best suited to that left 8 role where he can win the ball high up. And yesterday just went to show exactly why he is put in that area of the pitch to win the ball high up, to play the progressive pass. He did such a good role of it yesterday, and I'm sure we'll go on to speak about him in a bit more detail later. But this time it was Trossard wins the ball, Declan Rice into Havertz, and you're thinking, surely he's got to shoot. But he finds Martin Ødegaard, and our skipper slots it away. And if there's any player that could do with a big, big goal in a big moment like that, it's Martin Ødegaard, isn't it?
Yeah, the thing I loved the most about that whole movement, and you mentioned it, was Rice's reaction. I thought that was absolutely fantastic. You don't notice it from where we are in block 5, right up the other end where I stand. You didn't notice it in real time, but you watch the replay, and I turned to Nick, who's the guy that stands next to me, and I said to him, that Rice touch, because like Trossard wins it, it's like split-second thinking. But there's one thing to do split-second thinking, but the weight of the pass was so perfect just in front of Havertz that all he had to do was shuffle his body, turn his body towards the ball. And then I actually think, I think somebody had said, I listened to a podcast this morning where they were saying, Gary Neville said, you want your striker to be shooting from there. But when you're pushed into that wide position, then the goal is, the angle is narrowed. So for me, he did absolutely the right thing in squaring it to Ødegaard. And where I sit, you can see when he squared it to Ødegaard, the amount of space that Ødegaard's got to play it in. And yeah, it did take a deflection, I think, of Stones as it went in. But the likelihood of scoring in terms of probabilities and XG and that is so much higher for Martin Ødegaard. So for me, he did absolutely the right thing. He didn't do the right thing about 10 minutes later where he missed a sitter of all sitters, but he did the right thing in that moment. And as we'll come to it in the second half, he got his reward anyway.
Absolutely. And you mentioned it there, Chris. But Amanda, I'll come to you on this one. That Kai Havertz miss in the first half, I mean, he had so much time to think about what he wanted to do with that. And I appreciate it's not the easiest of chances, but you want and expect your striker to be scoring that. Granted, he went and scored a brilliant goal later on. He got an assist. He does perform in these big games, and he's a player that I will defend all the way. But you can't defend those misses. For me, they're absolutely inexcusable to miss when you're putting yourself out there as a number 9. What was your feeling at that point in the game? Because I think a lot of people around me were thinking that's going to come back to haunt us.
Yeah, listen, you're 1-0 up and he goes and misses that, and I could have scored that. And I think you're right. I think he had too much time. And he placed it in the wrong way. He shot. I mean, the worst thing for me was the bloke in front of me stood up. Everyone did because he thought he'd scored. I didn't get to see it until replay at half time. I couldn't believe what I'd seen. I mean, I thought maybe they were exaggerating around me because obviously I couldn't see it. They just literally jumped up. It is an appalling miss, and it could have cost us, and we could have been having a very different podcast tonight if they would have gone and scored earlier than they did, and not after half time. You cannot miss chances like that. However, I feel with him, he scores the harder chances. The goal he scored was phenomenal. It was beautiful. That was an easy chance. I'm pleased we didn't, obviously, and I'm obviously pleased we won, but I'm pleased for his confidence. Could you only imagine this morning how we would have felt if we'd have lost it 2-1?
Absolutely. I think with Havertz, he's a little bit Urzily in the sense of when he's got too much time to think about these one-on-one decisions, he's always looking to pass it, or he might make the wrong decision, or he'll completely miss like he did yesterday. But when it's instinctive and he hasn't got time to think it, and he's just letting, his feet do the work for him without his brain having to think about it, that's when he scores the sort of goals that he did yesterday. We will go on to talk about Kai Havertz separately because he's now up to 20 goal contributions, which I think you could say is pretty damn good at this stage in the season. I do want to have a little discussion about him. But Chris, let's talk about that first half, because I don't know about you, I was really disappointed with how it went after the first goal. I know we should have had another one. City had two really good chances. They had the Guardiola header, which was brilliantly saved by David Raya. He made another brilliant save from Savinho. It's near post. But we just I wouldn't say we sat off, but it was like a game of chess. Like neither side wanted to commit too many bodies forward. And I just said to the guy next to me, look, if you're a neutral watching this, you're turning over because it is such a boring game of football at this stage. What did you make of the first half?
It was really cagey, wasn't it? Like I likened it to, in my blog this morning, I likened it to two like heavyweight boxers kind of just like circling around the ring, doing a little bit of like the old shadow boxing. So or doing the occasional sort of jab to test the waters. Like how's this going to land? Like, can I get close? Can I deliver a killer blow? I think Arsenal's game plan, because we scored so early, it probably put us on a bit on hold a little bit. What was interesting is that Man City, and they've done this before with us, they had absolutely zero intention on pressing us because they know what Arsenal are like. They also know that we can do them on transition and from front to back with the way that we move the ball. So you could just sell. There were times where I counted. There was one time where I think Ray had the ball at his feet for about 15 seconds. Doesn't sound like a lot, but if you just pause and count to 15 and think about like when a goalkeeper's just standing still like that, it feels like an absolute age. So for me, I think the early goal kind of stunned us a little bit in a good way. And then it was like, okay, well then let's just take all the sting out of this game. Let's go to the most archetypal Mikel Arteta. We know you guys, we know what you want to do to us. So we're just going to hold on to the ball. We're going to hold it off and we're not going to allow you to get in behind us. What City were doing, which it worried me at the time, but thankfully it didn't have too much of an impact. They split their wide men really far wide, and the amount of times where they were trying to get the ball to Savinho or Marmouche or whatever his name is, they were doing that a lot. But where Trossard and Martinelli were fantastic is they sort of dropped back into that space in between where Timber is and where Skelly is. And it meant that we flooded the middle of the pitch in that defensive sort of third. So they'd get the ball out wide, but they weren't really, it was only once or twice where they'd run in behind and they weren't putting balls into the box. And I think that's testimony to how we were defensively set up. And perhaps that had an impact on that first half. But yeah, it wasn't the most exciting of first halves to me. I didn't feel like we were not out of sight, but it felt like we should have been out of sight with that Havertz chance. But also, what we haven't mentioned, Martinelli, if he's only a yard or two back, he's flicking that ball in for the offside goal, and we're 2-0 up and in dreamland.
Absolutely. Amanda, were you a bit surprised by how poor City were? Because although they have been well below the standards they've set themselves this season, there have been a couple of games recently where, bar the PSG result where they were 2-0 up, ended up losing 3-2. They have been putting together some decent results. They're starting to score goals again. They're not quite looking like the City of last season or the season before that, but they're looking more like a much better version of themselves than they've seen earlier this season. So I was a little bit apprehensive, and I was surprised that like Chris said, they just had no interest in engaging with us. And those moments where Raya had the ball for so long and they just were playing the game at a walking football pace almost. It was like watching over 70s football. It was that slow at times. I just couldn't believe, with all the talent they had on the pitch, they had Savinho, they had Marmoush, they had Haaland, Phil Foden, Bernardo Silva, yet there was no potency in their play. It was like we kind of picked up where we left off at the Etihad, where they were putting the ball out wide, into the box, out wide, into the box, and just nothing was coming of it.
No, but I also think that we played really well and we pressed them high. Press the whole time. We were on it. You know, when we're on it, the minute you come out, you can tell the minute from kickoff, we were on it. As I said, when I said at the beginning, I was pretty bored. I was like, what are they doing at 1-0? We need to go for it. But it's exactly what Chris said. It is like that shadow boxing thing, isn't it? Like, who's going to go first? Who's going to go for the punch? And I was disappointed in City, but pleased that they weren't very good. And remember, we're missing our star player. They're missing their star player, and they do have other star players. But I wasn't surprised. Remember what I say, that I've got a lot of City friends that I talk to regularly. They all said to me, our defence is absolutely appalling, but we will score goals. Well, their defence is appalling. I mean, you can tell by their first error that led to our goal. And we were on them the whole time, and I think that's what we played on. It wasn't the best spectacle the first half. However, when we went in for the towards the end of the first half, I said, I'll predict it right now. City will come out and score, and then the goal after that will win the game. Whoever scores that will win the game. I didn't expect 5, and another 4, but I just think that you have to always be careful with Haaland. I mean, you know, he can score like he did yesterday. He's just that sort of player. As much as we don't like him, and for many reasons, he's a great player. So I was all right with our 1-0, fun enough, going in at half-time. For the first time, I wasn't that concerned, and I wasn't even concerned when they scored, because whatever anyone says, they're a shadow of themselves from last season, an absolute shadow of themselves. Most teams, as we're seeing since he said stay humble, I think they've only won 1 in 13 or something. So I wasn't that worried. It was just, the concern for me was the typical, isn't it? 1-0 and we just can't kill teams off. And for the first time, we did kill the team off.
Absolutely.
Do you know what really surprises me? Sorry to jump in just for a sec, James. Do you know what really surprises me is how you talked about how impressive our press was, our off the ball press was. What we've expected from City is they harass. Do you remember peak City from like 2-3 seasons ago? They would harass every time you get the ball. There'd be 2 players chasing down. I didn't notice that yesterday, and maybe it's just because I haven't rewatched the game back. I don't know what you thought about this, James. You get a better view than me, actually, so you probably get a better view of it. But I feel like City from 2-3 years ago, it's like we're playing the ball across our back line or in our midfield, and 2 players will go. They'll be on you straight away. I didn't notice that at all. I don't think they pressed very well. They pressed like a slow old team.
I don't think they have the players to press anymore, to be honest with you. I look at that front 4, and Savinho, is he really well known for his pressing? Not really. Is Marmoush? I mean, we don't know enough about him yet, but judging on yesterday's performance, no. Haaland, I mean, he doesn't really press at all, does he? He's the definition of what we would call in school a goal hanger. He just hangs around in the danger area waiting for the ball to land at his feet. And, well, granted, when he gets it, he almost always scores, but he's not really known for his pressing. And I think it's a culmination of players like Kovacic not being good enough. Could say the same for Akanji, for Nunez. I don't think they were at the level yesterday. And someone like Bernardo Silva, who I actually really, really like as a footballer, has just fallen off a cliff edge. Like, he used to be a really, really good player, but suddenly his form has just absolutely decimated. So I think it's a culmination of things that resulted in City being this version of themselves that they currently are. But they have just dropped a cool 200 million quid this window. So be interesting to see how they are come the end of the season. But Chris, let's talk about that Haaland header, because of course it was a bit of a dagger, something out of nothing really. But it goes to show what quality there still is in this City side. It's a brilliant cross from Savinho, and Haaland pins Saliba. And you got to say, credit where it's due. Unbelievable header.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you've basically taken all the words out of my mouth there. At first, and when I was watching the replays in the stadium, I was looking at Saliba and saying, "You got to do better there, mate," because it just seemed like he was flat-footed. But his movement was just very clever, and he generates quite a lot from those neck muscles, doesn't he, Haaland? And again, I looked at it in real time and thought, Saliba, could you have done better? Raya, could you have reacted a bit better? I just think sometimes you just need to accept he's the sort of guy that will do absolutely bugger all for 89 minutes, and he will crop up at some moment and deliver a killer punch. What the difference is that you have to make it not a killer punch. You have to make it just going to my boxing analogies here, just a jab that, you know, maybe sets you on the canvas a little bit, but you get back up. And that's exactly what we did. I think Haaland was kept quiet. That's like the third or fourth game in a row where he's kept quiet. The annoying thing is he always seems to score against us. Like, if you think about the game at the Etihad, he didn't really do anything other than score that early goal. And it's the same as yesterday. He didn't really do anything other than score that goal.
But Chris, if you watch, Saliba's the wrong side of Haaland. It's completely the wrong side of him.
Yeah, but his movement is quick. Like, his movement is so
Yeah.
quick. So I think, I don't know.
But so Saliba normally.
Sometimes you have
But
to
I
give
mean,
it to the striker.
yeah, no, I know. But he's a good player, Haaland. I mean, obviously he's a very, very good player. But I just felt like Saliba was totally the wrong side of him. However, sometimes you do just have to go great cross, good header, and move on.
Yeah, it's frustrating.
As reluctantly as we,
within 2
yeah, and I think we're going to stay humble on this one and just admit that was a good header, but instant response, Amanda. You have to say that Partey goal, it set the place alight, didn't it?
Oh God! Do you know what? I was screaming for someone to just bloody shoot. You never know. Take a chance. Shoot. It could deflect off someone. Other teams do it. Just frigging shoot. And that is right in front of me. Right in front of me where he shot. And the best time to score is when the opposition's just scored, because it nullifies that. And already we're straight off. Great goal. 2-1 up. The place has gone absolutely mental. I don't know if you felt it. We're sort of in the same position, although, Chris, you're lower, you're upper, and I'm on the east upper. So when it just went mad. I love that. I love that answer straight away within the minute or so. Great shot by Partey. And it deflected. Good. No, I'm not unhappy about that.
Can I pointed something out to the wife just as I got home when I was reliving the game over dinner. And she was like, yeah, so it was quite a comfortable one then, was it? And I said, well, actually, if I think about it, it was. Do you realise we were only not winning that game for about 3 minutes of the entire match? It didn't even occur to me until I spoke to her about it, because we scored on the second minute to go 1-0 up. We were leading up until the 55th minute, and then it was 1-1. And then on the 57th minute, Partey had scored. So we only had 4 minutes out of the 86 where it wasn't Arsenal ahead. Those are the kind of football matches I can definitely get behind. I'll have more of those type of football matches, please. Thank you very much.
Let's hope so, mate, because that would be perfect. Absolutely perfect. But not as perfect as Erling Haaland stood in the centre circle with his hands on his hips as soon as that goal went in. That was a thing of beauty, but not quite as beautiful as that Miles Lewis-Skelly goal. Chris, I'll stay with you on this one. He was excellent again yesterday. This is a guy that I had no idea was capable of these levels of performances earlier on this season. I thought, you know, we might see him here and there. I never predicted he would be this pivotal of a figure in the first team. I never envisaged him being our first choice starting left back and going toe to toe with the reigning champions and looking entirely comfortable. But then finishing like that, he's just taken his game to another level. And I don't want to say arrogance, but the confidence in himself to back himself, do that celebration. And I hate the social media.
I don't know if you can see it. I don't know if you can see it.
No, it's a shine. Dip it down.
There we are.
There
we are.
we go.
Beautiful. Oh, that's
there he is. That was right in front of me. Right in front of me.
Oh, yeah, that was your picture. Oh, brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah, it couldn't have been any
right in front
more
of me.
perfect.
Loved
Lovely.
it. Absolutely loved it, mate. The thing that's quite amazing is his close ball control. He's also his strength and his ability to turn as well. There was a moment in the second half where there was a ball, kind of an awkward bouncing ball, and he was going towards his own goal. And I can't remember whether it was Marmoush or whether it's Foden, but someone was chasing him down. And he's there's just him or Raya. It's quite near the halfway line, to be fair. But you think to yourself, just knock it back to your keeper or knock it out or knock it back. But he kind of drops his shoulder one way and then drops his shoulder the other way, sends the City player the wrong way, and then just travels into the centre circle with the ball at his feet. And he's done that a few times already that I've noticed this season. He is a very, very clever footballer. He's got strength. He's got physicality for someone so small. That's interesting. He's got he's got the ability. He's got the eye for a pass. He knows his position on the pitch. He's been doing that Calafiori, Zinchenko inverted fullback role without any problems whatsoever. But the defensive side of his game has improved so much. If you think about, we had him for the Liverpool game at the Emirates, and he played left back, and he got caught out a little bit at left back at the beginning of the season. Today, Miles Lewis-Skelly plays that game against Liverpool and does not get caught out at all. He's grown. He's growing and growing with every single game. And then to have that composure and the balls to be able to cut inside on your weaker foot and unleash a curled shot. I think maybe you can ask a question over Ortega, because I think arguably if that's Raya in goal, I think he probably gets a stronger fist to it and it doesn't go in. But we'll take it. Absolutely brilliant. Buzzing for the kid. And then to do the Haaland celebration chuckled me. But actually, what I really liked is, because I was watching and I took that picture of him whilst he was on the floor and I did a video, and then he got up and he kind of walked over towards us and basically just kind of looked up, almost like hands on his hips, like with this like smug sort of grin that just looked like it had the air of a 27-year-old pro who's like, yes, I know I'm the best at this. And he's 18 years old. It's crazy.
Do you know what, though? The confidence and the cockiness is what we've been missing. And the shithousery from him, I'm all here for it. He's getting better and better and better. Again, Chris, I agree. The balls to do that, to actually have a go at goal, to actually think you can score like that, and then to celebrate like that. And I absolutely love him. He's definitely becoming a fan's favourite very quickly, and he's definitely improving as well. I agree with you. There were times he got caught out, but he didn't yesterday. And I think the confidence that Arteta can see in him and Nwaneri, obviously the Halem boys, where's he going to go? I mean, he's only going to get better and better and better. People were talking about him for left back for England. You know, he's come on leaps and bounds. And do I love the confidence and the cockiness? Absolutely. We need that. We need a bit of that. And he has riled so many fan bases today. It's absolutely brilliant. Bring it on, Miles Lewis-Skelly. We all love you.
We certainly do. The world is his oyster. I mean, he's got it all. It's not just the footballing ability. It's the character of him. Like, I absolutely love him as a person. I love the fact that, you know, the three guys we've got coming through, Lewis-Skelly, Saka, Nwaneri, they've all got quite different personalities, but they've all come from Hale End. I love the three of them, and it's quite unbelievable. In fact, it's impeccable that we have not got one but two Hale End graduates coming through in the same season. They're both looking like they could be potential world beaters. It's it's unbelievable.
I don't want to jump too far ahead, Cooks. I don't want to jump too far ahead because I know we will talk about transfer stuff. But do you wonder if the emergence of Nwaneri, maybe not less so where Miles Lewis-Skelly, because where he's playing, but the emergence of Ethan, do you think that might be playing a part in why we are probably going to end up not going for anybody this window?
Yeah, I do, to be honest. I do. Given that he's got 7 goals this season, who could have predicted that? 7 goals and we've still got, a third of the season left to play? You know, he could quite easily end the season on double figures. You know, he's not getting any assists, but if he can keep banging them in like that, he could end on close to 15 goals. You never know. If he's getting in the team more regularly, and that is a very unique finish he's got. You know, not a lot of players can do that. So I think that is part of the club's thinking. But that shouldn't be seen as an excuse, because although Arteta has said he can play as a false nine, we're yet to see it, and I don't honestly believe that that's an option. What we need, because of the Gabriel Jesus injury, is a number 9. Like, if Jesus didn't get that ACL, I'd be like, okay, I can live with this. You know, we're going to have Saka coming back soon. We're going to have Ben White coming back. The squad's going to look okay. We've got Nwaneri, we've got Trossard, we've got Martinelli, we've even got Raheem Sterling on the wings. We're okay there. But because we've literally got, I can see your face grimacing at Sterling, but he is still there. Kai Havertz is our only number 9 at the minute. And I don't want to jump too far ahead on the transfer talk. I want to park that just for the end.
Oh, but can I just say,
go on, Amanda.
Sorry, I just disagree about the transfer thing, because I don't think it's to do with Nwaneri. I think January is never a great time to find the player that you exactly want. So I don't think it's anything to do with him. We're just lucky that he looks. I mean, he reminds me so much of Saka anyway. But I just want to go back to Miles's goal. That was, I can't even. It was beautiful. It was just a beautiful finish. And again, the ground went mental. And the fact that he had the balls to do the celebrations, to take the piss like that. And I want to get onto the fan bases later, but I'll let you continue.
Yeah, I don't think I've celebrated a goal quite like that in ages. Like, I had grasp of 2 people that sit next to me. My glasses fell off my head. It was a quite unbelievable moment, and it just feels so much more magical when it's someone that you've not paid 70, 80 million quid for. You know, when it's someone that's come through the ranks, that's 18
one
years
of our
old.
own.
Exactly.
One of our own.
And he's a proper gooner as well. So it was, beautiful moment. And now, Amanda, I'll stay with you for my Kai Havertz special part of the show. What a goal. Unbelievable goal he scored. Polar opposite to the chance he had earlier on in the game. I have to give credit to, first of all, Thomas Partey for that pass into Martinelli, which was pinpoint. He was exquisite yesterday, Thomas Partey. We could do our own section about how good he was. But that ball into Martinelli, and then perfect composure from Martinelli to roll it into Havertz, whose movement on this goal was it was world class. There's no other way of describing it. It was that good. And finishes with aplomb past Ortega. 20 goal contributions this season, Amanda. I don't know about you, but I think that's kind of what 65 million quid gets you in this day and age. So I've got no complaints with Kai Havertz.
No, nor have I. But before I continue, we've got 1,200 people watching us. Please throw your questions in towards the last 10, 15 minutes of the show. We are going to ask all of us. I'll ask all the questions. So please, anything you want to ask us to do with yesterday or anything else to do with Arsenal, please do. Kai Havertz. Do you know what's funny though, Cooks? This season, I don't feel like he's as good as last season, but yet 20 goal contributions. It's a weird one, isn't it? He does miss a lot. He does, but he scores the most exquisite goals. I don't know what to say about Kai. I love him, and then there's moments I just think, God, like obviously that miss yesterday. It was beautiful. Is that not the goal where Rice passed it? Am I on the wrong goal here? Was that Nwaneri then?
That was Nwaneri's goal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Partey won the ball in midfield.
Sorry.
Passed out to Martinelli.
So many goals, I've got confused. Partey was exquisite in midfield. I mean, he nearly was my man of the match. But the way he took it, the confidence. Can you imagine, though? The confidence must have been a little bit shot with what he did. He did put his head in his hands when he missed it. He is class. He is. I just wish he'd convert more. If he could convert more, we would be level with Liverpool. I think we still do need a striker. And what you were saying before about Jesus, I still would have wanted to sign someone, even if he was fit. But anyway, lovely.
What I would say, so what I will say is that Kai Havertz, I'm just looking at the stats. This is the most goals he's scored since he's been in the Premier League. So playing for Premier League teams in all competitions. Last season, he got 14 goals in all competitions. He's got 15 goals in all competitions. His best ever at Chelsea, I think, was 4 years ago, and I think that was 18 goals in all competitions. So he's got 3 more goals to be his best ever tally. And as you said, James, when we were talking about Nwaneri, we've still got a third of the season left. I'd back him to hit 20 goals this season. If he hits 20 goals, I think you probably have to say, fair enough, you've kind of done your job. The problem is that we normally have Bukayo Saka, who's also, if your striker's going to get 20 goals, you need one of your wide forwards to also get 20 goals if you want to be in the Premier League contention. And Saka's been out, and we don't have anyone that's close to that in terms of their output. I'm just Googling, talk amongst yourselves, but let me just I'll have a quick look at Martinelli's goal tally. He's started to pick up of late, but Martinelli's got 6 goals this season in the Premier League. I don't know if that's all comps though. Trossard's goal contribution is, I don't even know where he's at in terms of his goal contribution. He's not scored many goals this season, has he? Trossard. Martinelli's got 7 goals and 4 assists this season. And Trossard must be on something like sort of 4 or 5. So I think that's where our problem's coming. Yes, Kai misses chances, but we don't have somebody else. Like Trossard's got 5 goals this season. That's our problem. What do you think?
Yeah,
James?
I think the problem that will always remain with Havertz is that no one's ever going to call him world class when he misses the sort of chances that he missed yesterday. He could get 30, he could even get 40 goal contributions. He could get 20 goals, 20 assists in the same season, but he could also miss assists like that every single game. But it's also a testament to the player because he's always in such good positions. But if he wants to be regarded as one of the best in the world, he has to finish those chances. And if he does, he will comfortably rack up 30 plus goal contributions for a season upon season. I mean, he's well on his way to getting 25 plus goal contributions this season. In fact, I would back him quite heavily to do that. With so much of the season to go, I mean, five goal contributions away. I definitely see Kai Havertz doing that, given we've only got the league and the Champions League to focus on. But he's a really useful player. He needs competition, and that's why I'm so despondent that we've not done something this window. But we will go on to that. Amanda, let's talk about the cherry on the cake. Ethan Nwaneri's goal. The passing for this goal, first of all, was exceptional. Like the fans were giving it oles beforehand. And Nwaneri was screaming for that ball on the right-hand side of the pitch for ages. I don't know if you saw, but he was always there, arms out, begging for it. He was in acres and acres of space. And that ball from Declan Rice before the goal is pinpoint. It couldn't have been placed at his feet any better. And everyone knew what he was going to do. Everyone knew he was going to cut in. But I don't think anyone could have predicted that it was going to be that perfectly nestled in the bottom corner. And when it went in, me and the guy next to me literally looked at each other, hands on our heads, like, oh my God, what are we watching? It just didn't feel real. It felt like someone had written a script about how the game had gone, and that was the perfect ending.
It was so beautiful. And Emerson said it here, for you all, did you know it took a total of 2 minutes of possession before Nwaneri tucked it away for the fifth goal? Carl pointed that out when we got home about how many passes there were. I can't remember what he said now. But you think you've seen it all, haven't you? We've had every goal was a really, really great goal. And then he does that. And that pass from Rice. I mean, Declan Rice, honestly, it's the little things that are going to wind me up. For instance, Martinelli's foot of Fulham, we'd have won that game. I just wish we was a little bit closer to Liverpool because we've got to win every single game now. There is no doubt about it. There is no doubt. Liverpool, are they going to lose 2 games? I just don't know. But the pass to Nwaneri and how he took it was what we'd been missing since Saka's gone. That's what we've been missing. Exactly that. For someone to cut in and do that, it was beautiful. Oh my God! So I'm going to ask you then, Cooks, what was your favourite goal yesterday?
That one. I think it was just the perfect way to end the game. If you could have said to me, Nwaneri's going to come on, score a goal like that, an absolute perler, not like the one he got against Forest. Not that that was a bad goal, but, I'm talking about a proper Ethan Nwaneri trademark finish. It was just magical. That's the best way I can describe it. But
yeah,
The
30
Miles Lewis-Skelly goal as well.
Yeah.
That sent me potty.
That was 36 passes, Chris. 36 passes for that transition, as they call it, for Nwaneri. My favourite goal was Miles Lewis-Skelly, just from start to finish of that. Nwaneri was definitely second, that's for sure.
Yeah,
Chris,
I think
what did you
because
make?
of when it happened in the moment. I think when it happened in the moment, because it was 2-1, it's still a bit cagey. As soon as it goes to 3-1, you've got the buffer. And I think that feeling of raw kind of emotion, like one of our lads doing the business, like young kid, great future ahead of him, and to then put enough of a distance to think, okay, now we can see ourselves winning this game now, because at 1-0, you're always worried, what's going to happen? It goes to 1-1. At 2-1, you're always thinking, like, we can easily get pegged back. At 3-2, you've got that buffer and you're thinking, okay, now I can start to feel a little bit more comfortable. At 4-1, then you're just having fun. And so for me, the Lewis-Skelly one, definitely.
So can I just say something that Cole's just sent us in our group? Hold on a second, which is about Nwaneri. Hold on. Nwaneri came on in the 84th minute. He had more touches than Haaland. Please, come on. That's incredible, isn't it?
That's fantastic.
That shows how good we were.
Absolutely. And 5-1. I mean, full time, like I said at the start of the show, I don't think we ever could have predicted that. I thought it was going to be a hell of a lot more cagey than that. And I know something you want to talk about, Amanda, is, of course, the social media fallout after this. Almost instantaneously after the final whistle, not just City fans, Liverpool fans, even West Ham fans were getting on our case for apparently being the epitome of what Haaland's meant when he said, stay humble. And I would put the question out there to any football fan. If you experienced what we did up at the Etihad, and you saw a complete lack of disrespect from Haaland throwing the ball at Gabriel's head, telling Arteta to stay humble, asking Lewis-Skelly who the F he was, we have every right to react in this way. What do you expect us to do? Politely clap the team off the pitch and not enjoy the moment like this? Because frankly, I don't really see the point in going to football if you're not allowed to relish these sort of games. And we all want needle in football. We've been talking about it for ages, and now we've got it. It was Gary Neville that tipped me over the edge yesterday, Amanda. I know that this is what he's doing. He's trying to get under our skin. But when he said about Gabriel laughing in Haaland's face, I mean, come on, Gary. You're from the era where God knows what went on every single game. You had Cesc Fabregas throwing pizza at Sir Alex Ferguson. God knows what would happen if that was on social media these days.
Let's not forget Gary Neville ran the length of the pitch to celebrate at Anfield in front of Liverpool fans. So interesting that he's making that comment. Gary Neville also said that when it was when he said him and Carragher found it funny that Haaland threw the ball at the back of Gabriel's head. So he's a hypocrite. He is he's doing it for clicks and likes and all of that sort of stuff. I think we just need to see through it and ignore it, is my personal opinion.
No.
Sorry, Amanda, go on.
Never, not me. No, I was sitting there yesterday and someone tweeted me and said Gary Neville was just told Sky that Haaland should go after Gabriel, and I thought I'd read it wrong. And there was a breaking plan. I tweeted back and said, "What do you mean he's told him to go after him? What?" Anyway, so I knew about Neville. He don't bother me. He has just gone so anti-Arsenal because his side United are appalling and he can't stand us anyway. That he's doing it for attention, clicks, likes. He's trying to stay. What's that word?
Relevant.
Stay relevant. That's the word. I have terrible brain fog. But what I've experienced today, right? So as I've said, I've got Liverpool and City fans. I did a couple of bits last night. I expected them to bounce on it, and they did, and they jumped on it. And most of them said, "Listen, you deserved it. Enjoy your win. You haven't got a treble. You haven't got this. You haven't got that." But I'll say this again: that for me, their trophies are tainted because of everything. And I'm not going to go into that. And then let's go into social media now. So Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, especially has lost the plot. You've got City fans and Liverpool fans on the same side, Chelsea fans going on about North London forever. You've got West Ham fans criticising North London forever when they have a Bubble song, the irony. You've got fans losing their mind over the fact that Gabriel laughed in Haaland's face when we went 1-0 up. Skelly doing the Haaland celebration. We're not allowed to celebrate. Arsenal fans are not allowed to be happy that we've just beaten the champions 5-1. And they have been our rivals for a few years. What the hell is everybody on about? But the tears, honestly, has been hilarious. The responses from Arsenal fans are just too funny. They're all saying the irony, stay humble. You don't stay humble. What are you going on about? He stood in our manager's face and went, stay humble. If you're going to do that live on TV, and I've posted a pic I got a really good pic of when they lost to Tottenham of him. I've still got it. And I post it every time they lose of stay humble. And yesterday, where I sat, I zoomed into the penalty spot and I've got a brilliant one of Haaland standing there looking like, oh my God, we're 5-1 down or whatever. As James Hope has said, we are the new Millwall. They all hate us and we don't care. I don't care. If you've got a problem with my club, I don't care. If I had a problem with it, I'll call it out. I call everything out. You know that I do. I'm not a sheep. I do not stand behind anything. I talk for myself. I loved every moment of everything that happened yesterday, and I'm loving every moment of the tears because all of a sudden, Man City fans want Liverpool to win the league. Have you ever? 3 years ago, they were bricking their coach. So come on, do me an absolute favour and get. I don't care. It's not bothering me. I'm not retaliating at all. But if you really, really want us to stay humble, then stop telling us to stay humble because it ain't going to happen. That is never going to leave him with us. We've got long memories. And even Gabriel, didn't he, day before said he was up for it because of that game, saying to Lewis-Skelly, who the F for you, they've got no class. They don't need class. They've got money. And that's how they see it.
One of the arguments that we saw on social media yesterday, Chris, for why we couldn't celebrate in the way that we did was because we're 6 points behind Liverpool. They've got a game in hand. We're nowhere near close to winning anything. But again, it goes back to my point of surely, you've got to enjoy these individual moments as a football fan because you don't have them every single day of the week. But going back to that point, I mean, let's talk about the league title. If we are still indeed in a title race, we're just about keeping our hopes alive at the minute. Where do you see things, mate? Because obviously we are 6 points behind. They play in 9 days' time against Everton in the Merseyside derby, the last one at Goodison Park. Basically, the way I see it, we need them to lose 4 games between now and the end of the season. And I'll let you go first.
It ain't going to happen. They're not losing 4 games. The things that have happened with Liverpool this season, the lack of injuries, the little bits going their way, like on Saturday, maybe McAllister's could be sent off. You've got Virgil van Dijk elbowing someone. I've seen that, which looked a little bit borderline, gets away with it. Things are just falling their way. And sometimes you just have to accept it's just one of those things. And conversely, things have just gone against us. Every time we've had the chance to close a gap, something's happened. Like with the Brighton draw from earlier in the month, where Saliba, we have a penalty against us because Saliba has headed somebody, and it's like you'll never see that penalty given anywhere else ever again. It's just that sort of stuff's just happened. So I don't want to put a dampener on what's been a lovely day. And I think your point is really important, actually, because actually it's not just about where you land, it's the journey as well. And the journey this season has given us 2 victories over Tottenham, which is a lot of fun because, that's the scum, and 2 victories over them, always good. It's given us a comfortable 2-0 victory against United. We could all have a chuckle and laugh at them at home. All right, we got knocked out of the cup, but we battered them. Doesn't matter. It's given us this City result. It's given us some good days. Like we've gone up against it. We have had our backs to the wall with injuries, ridiculous refereeing decisions, sendings off, and we've still come out of it. We're still coming out of this fighting. I said to my mate last night at half time, and I'm going to stand by this, we are the best team in the Premier League. The table tells you Liverpool, but the table doesn't tell the story, because Liverpool have had their fair share of things going their way and we haven't. If we don't get the injuries that we get, even with shocking refereeing decisions, I think we're probably 4 to 6 points better off. And we're talking about 3 points difference between Liverpool. And then I feel like we can catch them. That's my piece.
I think that's a bit not disingenuous, but I think Liverpool are better than us, Chris. And yes, they've had a lot of, they've not had as many injuries. I get that. We have had bad decisions go against us, but Salah is just on fire. I mean, completely well.
Can I ask you a question then, Amanda? Had Saka not picked up that injury, do you think we would be at least a few points better off?
Yes, I think we would have beaten.
Had Martin Odegaard not picked up his injury,
Yes.
do you think
No, I
we'd be a few
agree.
points
I've
better
said
off?
that about injuries.
So if we just no, but I know. But what I'm saying is, if we're 6 points better off, let's just say we're level on points with Liverpool at the moment, and are you saying, nah, they've got a better team than us?
But they could say the same thing. They may have drawn one of the games that they could have won if they'd have had their player fit. All I'm saying is, I do think Liverpool are playing outstanding football. We can't say that because Saka isn't fit, and also we have needed someone to put the ball in the back of the net. But that's what I was saying about Martinelli at Fulham, Chris. If his foot's onside, we win that game. That's another 2 points towards it. But all teams can say that. I just feel like I actually preferred last season. I loved the journey last season. It was amazing. I loved it. This season's been a bit. We haven't been on top form this season. We are still in the league. We are still in the race. We are. They lose one game, we get one. They get a bit shaky. It's not mathematically impossible. It's February the 1st. I know I said this in December and January, but
February the 3rd, Amanda, come on.
Sorry, February the 3rd. But if there is going to be a game they're going to draw that we're not expecting. That's going to happen. I can see that. Yeah. But are we going to win every single game? That is the problem. I can't see that. But Everton have turned their season around a little bit now. And trust me when I say, you all know this anyway, they are so going to want to beat Liverpool. The last Merseyside derby at Goodison Park. And they want us to win the league. They want anyone to win the league bar them. It could come now. But we have to be ready. We have to pounce. I mean, we've got a break now. We play Newcastle, and obviously then we have the break. We're not out of it. I'm not giving up yet. I'm not.
I think the issue for me
is... Can I just put one... Sorry, James. 2 seconds. 2 seconds, James. Apologies. I just want to put this quote up, because this I actually agree with. So I think we're sort of slightly in disagreement, Amanda. But I think what Boyd Tendio is saying is probably right. I don't think Liverpool... So maybe I need to... rephrase it. Liverpool aren't the better footballing team, but they do have more power and more weapons in their front line. That's a really good point, and that's probably one of the difference makers. Jimbo, sorry mate, go on.
Yeah, no, and that point is absolutely spot on. I mean, when you look at, not only have they got players like Salah, but they've also got Nunez, Diaz, Gakpo, Jota. They've got an abundance of talent that they can rotate in and out as each game goes by, and that's not even taking into account, attacking midfielders like Szoboszlai, Curtis Jones, Harvey Elliott. They have got an absolute abundance of talent in that area of the pitch, which we are just lacking. We are absolutely lacking. But I think the issue for me with the title talk is at this point in the season, where Liverpool are just looking so relentless, they've built up such a buffer now that even if we do carry on winning, they can afford to slip up. They can slip up multiple times, and we're still not going to catch them. That's the reality, and that's why I don't see it happening. Best case scenario, they lose the Merseyside derby and they have a couple of draws here and there, and then we go and beat them at Anfield, because that's what we've got to do. We've got to beat them at Anfield. Otherwise, it's just it's not happening. I'm not even thinking about the title right now. Like, being totally honest, I was fairly subdued going into yesterday. Like, I wasn't having all these nerves and jitters because I don't see the league happening. And that's not me being all doom and gloom. It's exactly what you say, Chris. We've had so much go against us, and fair play to Liverpool. Like, I'm not using it as an excuse for why they're winning. if we had all our players fit, I'd be buzzing. You know, I'd be absolutely delighted. They've done a really good job to keep all their players fit, and if they win the league, that's how it is. So be it. I'm not gonna have sour grapes about that, because I think so much has gone against us this season that's been beyond our means of control. But I do think we'll win it next season. I'm very, very confident we're in such a good place to win it next season. But one thing that has certainly not helped our title charge, and Chris, I'll come to you, mate. No signings this January. It's I mean, let's assume it's not happening, because we're 2.5 hours away from the deadline closing. We're not signing anyone. You know, a player that we've ummed and ahed about, Matthias Tell, has gone to Spurs. I don't think we were ever truly in for him, but, you know, targets like Nico Williams, who was all the talk at the start of the window, then it moved on to Šeško, then it was Cunha. Then there was a bit of Vlahovic in there. I mean, we've really gone through them all, and we've ended up with no one. I'm very concerned, actually, that we're going to run Havertz into the ground in this last portion of the season. I'm just disappointed that we've not bought anyone in, whether it's a loan, whether it's, you know, an emerging talent. We've got no one, and it just feels like a bit of a kick in the teeth.
It is a kick in the teeth. Summer was the problem. We should have done the business, and we were all talking about it this summer, just gone, that we needed to do something, and we didn't. We've signed Ricardo Calafiori, who is a bit injury prone. We've signed Mikel Merino, who has hardly ripped up trees. We've had two wonderful stories in Lewis-Skelly and Ethan Nwaneri, which the Nwaneri stuff, you know, is just about working out for us because of Saka's injury. The Sterling loan move was an absolute car crash, frankly, at this stage, because he's not preferred. He's not delivering anything. He came on. I was talking to my mate Nick, who went to Girona, and he said that the away fans, some of them, were laughing and clapping when Sterling missed his penalty, because they were just like, he's useless, get him out of here. Like, it just seems like a bit of a waste there. This January, I'm reading all the stuff on social media, on X and on Blue Sky and Threads, about people saying it is hard to sell. There's some people having the inevitable meltdown. There's some people talking rightly that it's difficult to buy quality in January. My issue isn't so much January. It's we should have done the business in the summer. And my issue also is whenever we get to this point in the summer transfer window when it's closing, you always get people that say, that it's the people that say, oh, well, there's always the January transfer window. And then the people that say, well, it's always difficult to buy in January. The problem was this summer just gone. And it means we're going to have a lot of work to do in the coming summer, because we've not got to buy one striker. We've got to buy a striker. We've got to buy a wide forward. We've got to buy a midfielder, you know, and that's before we even lose any players. So, you know, if Trossard's on his way out, then that's a replacement you've got to make. You know, it's poor. And as you said, James, my issue is more, if Havertz is going to be playing every game now, he's got to get one dodgy tackle. And what are we on? Trossard as a false nine, which is not really worked. Martinelli's barely played there. Ethan Nwaneri, who's literally never played there in the first team. It's really poor. And I actually kind of feel sorry for Arteta, because Arteta's basically been screaming about it all through January. Yeah, we need it. Yeah, we need it. And one final bit, because this is turning into a monologue. I joked with you guys beforehand. If Jason Nato was doing a little bit of a dress rehearsal for wanting the top job, well, he ain't exactly going to have the greatest of pitches, is he, after this January? I'll finish there.
He's had a rant. How can you rant? We've just beaten the champions 5-1. We don't know.
You know what? I'm kind of okay. You know what, Amanda? I've jokingly called this the cursed season because of the injuries and all stuff like that. So I'm kind of okay with us not signing anybody rather than sign some random, you know, that's going to be stuck on our books for 4 years. If it means we go out and I'd love us to get Šeško in the summer. I'm not the biggest fan of Isak. I think he's fantastic, but he spends half of his time injured as well. So I don't want to buy another injury-prone centre forward. So I just hope we go for Šeško in the summer.
It is 8:30. We might sign someone by 11. This is wishful thinking.
We won't, Amanda. Stop it. On that note, Amanda, take us into the questions before we all lose our minds.
You're trying to cut me off. Right, hold on a second. Right, I also we need to talk about David Raya's save. No one's mentioned that phenomenal save. Come on, he kept us in the game, wasn't it? It was just amazing, which was brought up by Boy 100 Dio. I can't even read tonight. My brain has gone as well. Raya saved from the corner when I knew we were winning. Yeah, I felt like that, but it was brilliant, boys, wasn't it?
Certainly was.
Yeah, absolutely
Beautiful.
amazing. Right in
And
front of me. Brilliant.
also, I was going to mention this, Karen, anyway. Amanda, can you please mention Arsenal women also beating City yesterday too, and a combined 9 goals scored? It was fabulous. Watched a little bit of that. Yeah, well done to the girls. It was definitely an Arsenal day yesterday, wasn't it? Right, let's get to some questions. Right, this is something I was going to mention actually. Skelly reminds me of Cole's first season, fearless and strong. Do you agree that he could maybe turn into that sort of player, Ashley Cole-esque?
Go on, Chris.
Chris?
That would be lovely, wouldn't it? Let's just hope he doesn't drive his Range Rover off the road in rage because he hasn't offered an extra £5,000 for his contract by the club. Bit of trivia there. Bit of Ashley Cole to Chelsea transfer trivia for you there.
Anyone that's young's not going to understand that. Okay.
No.
Simon Lester. Simon says, does anyone think we're up for this game more than some others? Cooks.
I mean, I'm of the opinion you should be up for every single game equally, but obviously there was the added needle in this game. You know, Gabriel said at the end of the City game at the Etihad earlier in the season that we were going to be waiting for them at our grounds, and we most certainly were. And yeah, I think every single player, and Arteta included, were bang up for this game.
Anything to add to that, Chris?
100%. No, 100%. They were up for it, and we did the business, which is more than we can say about today.
Shut up. Could Lewis-Skelly play in midfield next season? Thought he played there in the youth team. That was from Lucas81 AFC. Chris?
I think that's an interesting one, actually, because that's where people have said that's where potentially his future is. If you think that we are losing Jorginho and we are potentially losing Partey in the summer, they talk about Zubamendi coming in. If we get him, great. But then that's still another position that we probably need to fill. And it does feel like having someone like Lewis-Skelly to be able to do that would be very, very interesting indeed. And he's versatile too. So you can have him. I mean, we've got Calafiori as a left back. I mean, Zinchenko will go. And then Tierney will go. So you've got Tomiyasu, Calafiori and Lewis-Skelly. Lewis-Skelly can also double up as a midfielder. So I think that's a really good shot.
Anything to add to that, Cooks?
Yeah, I think that's definitely where his future is. But it's tricky to take him out of that left back spot at the minute when he's playing so well there. My only question mark with him being in midfield is, would you play him as a 6 or an 8? That's what I can't quite work out just yet.
Okay, staying with MLS, is he first choice at left back now?
Yes.
Chris? Oh, right. Cooks, yes.
Come on, it's obvious. Of course he is.
Yeah, I think it has to be. You can't drop him after that performance.
No, I know. I agree with that. We'll get on to Newcastle in a second. Right, something we haven't discussed actually, because we don't really need to discuss the referee because there wasn't anything major issues. But Silva did kick Trossard on the ground, didn't they? And nothing. And then you had Foden waving an imaginary card. He didn't get booked for that. They kicked the ball away. So I mean, we don't want to really talk about that. Sometimes you have to talk about it when you win as well, Chris. Why wasn't he booked? Why didn't the ref deal with that?
Well, that was right in front of me, so I naturally went ballistic. Having rewatched it, it's not as much of a big kick. He probably should have had a word with him. The thing that annoyed me more than anything else was when Silva got Trossard and basically just threw him down on the floor, and the referee just said, play on. And then a few seconds later, Martin Ødegaard won the ball, and he's called a foul and then booked him, Ødegaard, for it. That's what drove me mad. That would happen about 2 minutes after that. But hey, I said it last night in the stadium. I say it again. We all just accept we're ref differently. That, and that's literally just an example of it.
No, I agree. Right. Okay. From Carl, were City bad or were we good? Cooks.
Both. They were dreadful for the most part, and we were exceptional for, well, at least those 45 minutes in the second half. We were really, really, really good.
Yeah.
But they were really poor throughout.
I think
100%. I
a
agree.
few people are saying the same thing. Right. Let's have a look. So Phil Macker said, if we stay fit next season, we kill the league. Agrees. So that's what you just said, Cooks, that you think we're winning it next year, even though you predicted it this year.
Yeah, and look, no one could have predicted we'd have had these injuries to Martin Odegaard for 2 months, Bukayo Saka for 2 to 3 months, Ben White for 2 to 3 months, Tomiyasu has just vanished into the never zone. Like, no one could have predicted we would have had all these problems. And then you compound it with Calafiori being in and out of the team, Marino getting injured on his first day of training. You just can't make it up, you know. And then I've not even mentioned the Gabriel Jesus doing his ACL. So taking all of that out of the equation, I would back us to win the league. And that's why I said we would at the start of the season. But yeah, I can't back us right now because of all those things that have happened against us. But next season, yeah, I definitely think we're in it to win it. But at the same time, like you alluded to, Chris, we've got so much maintenance to do. We're going to lose Jorginho, we're going to lose Partey, we're going to lose Tierney, we're going to lose Zinchenko, we're going to lose Sterling, we might lose Trossard. There might be a couple of other people there I'm going to miss out on. We might lose Kivior. So we've got, might lose Tomiyasu. We're looking at 8 players there that I've just reeled off. So we've got a lot to do in the summer, a hell of a lot to do. And if we don't recruit well and in numbers, I mean, we're blessed that Nwaneri and Lewis-Skelly are coming through because they're solving issues in the transfer market for us. But we still probably have to bring in 5 players. Do I trust us to do that? Well, they have to. They have to. They don't have a choice. They
won't
have
have 5. Might be 3.
Chris, 3 players. That's not going to work, is it?
No, absolutely not. That's I don't. I think they'll. No, yeah, you can't. Like you can't literally have the likes of Zinchenko and Partey and Jorginho go, and we already need a centre forward and say, well, we'll just sign 3 players. It's just the numbers. Well, we're already talking about. We're short.
Whilst we're here, let's add it up. You've got Neto, he's going to go. You've got Kivior, he's going to go. Tomiyasu, he's going to go. Zinchenko, he's going to go. Tierney's gone, effectively. Jorginho, Partey, Sterling, maybe Trossard. 9 players. Gabriel Jesus, 10 players potentially that could go. 10. And you're saying we need to bring in 3.
I didn't say we need. I said that's what they'll do.
No, they won't. They can't.
My feeling will do.
The place will explode if we do that. It won't happen.
Explode. Right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
I think I know you.
I
think I know your answer to this. Liverpool still have some tricky away games. Could we still chase them down, Christopher?
No.
Christopher's saying no for the purposes of audio. James?
We can chase them, but we won't catch them.
I did say no.
Okay, and I think we can still close them down. Okay, let's turn our sights to what's coming up, young Cooks. I believe we shall turn Newcastle over Wednesday. They have lost the last 2 home games. Get the first goal, they will be rattled. Lucas 81 AFC again. Thank you for your question. When we lost 2-0, I thought there's absolutely no chance. When the draw was made, I thought there was no chance. So we were going to go to St James's on the second leg. Now I'm not so sure. And I thought this last week, we could actually do this. We get an early goal, he's right. They'll get rattled. We get another one. Well, all bets are off. What's your boys thinking on it?
I still think it's going to be really hard. And like you, after that first game, I was like, yep, done, dusted. Let's not even think about the second leg because it's not going to happen. But given yesterday's result and given that Newcastle conceded 2 against Fulham, conceded 4 against Bournemouth, it's given me a bit of hope that we've got our attacking frailties out the way. We're scoring goals. There's no reason why we can't go there and score a few more goals. I think so long as we keep it tight, keep a clean sheet and score any time before the 70th minute, anything can happen. So I'm just looking forward to seeing what happens. If we concede early, I'll be like, okay, it's done. But if we keep it tight, for a long time in the game and we score, as I say, before the 70th minute, that's going to make it really interesting. And although they'll be bang up for it, the longer that game goes on, I think they'll get more and more nervous. So I think there's every chance we could do it.
I think they're a bit more nervous now, Chris, because their form's not so good, and we have picked up on our form as well. Do you think it could happen?
I think I'd probably, if I was to put a percentage chance, I'd probably say it's a 25%er.
Okay.
So it's probably more than likely not to happen. I think the first half might inform it. What Newcastle do, and we've seen this before, and we saw this with the home leg, and we saw this a couple of seasons ago. They can go dirty low block, and we've played Horseshoe of Death before, and I just worry that they're going to do dirty low block. And the problem we've got is that a team like that, they love a dirty low block, because what they'll end up doing is they'll end up using their pace of the like of Isak and Joe Linton and Gordon to hit us on counter and transition, because they know we have to go for it. So I think Nigel had said a 2. I think Nigel's right. I suspect it will probably be a 2-1. It'll be a Newcastle go 1-0 up and then just sit back. Or if we go 1-0 up, we'll get a bit excited. Newcastle get that extra one. We might get one more. But yeah, it just feels like it's the sort of game that it's probably one goal too much for us, I think.
I think it was giving us a little bit of hope, definitely. When we lost 2-0, I was like, well, we're done anyway. But yeah. And the last question. Well, you two think Liverpool, yeah? Who's going to win the league? Sorry, Carl said, who's going to win the league? You're both going Liverpool.
Yeah.
I'm going no comment. Because, like Trav said, we just have to channel the spirit of that 89 squad. Thank you for all your brilliant questions. We've really, really appreciated it. Cooks, any more to say before I close?
No, see us out, Amanda. See us out.
You want to
I've used up
go?
all my chat.
Who wants to go? Thank you to everybody.
We're going to go and watch the non-event that is transfer window.
I'm going to go and watch Love Island. You watch Transfer Window. Yeah, you threw me then. So thanks to everyone that's joined us in the chat room, and nearly 1,460 of you, which just hit, have watched via other social media platforms. Please come and join us on our YouTube channel. We go live every week. Sometimes we have guests, sometimes we don't, and it's just us three. But thank you for all your wonderful comments and questions. Keep going at them on social media. Keep making everyone laugh. Just remember, everybody, absolutely stay humble. Don't do anything else but stay humble. And remember, always Arsenal. Good night, everyone.